concepts of parts of speech. We use this term too much. So let's see what it is. In traditional grammar, parts of speech is a category of words, more generally of lexical items which have similar grammatical properties. So we have words which share the properties with other words. So they are put under one category or one class. Words that are assigned to the same parts of speech generally display similar behavior. So for example, all the words that name something are called nouns. Words that describe action or states or events are verb, and so on, right? They play similar roles within the grammatical structure of sentences, and sometimes in terms of morphology they share the same morphology. On the basis of morphology, we segregate them as noun, as verb, as other parts of speech, in that they undergo inflections for similar properties. We know that certain inflections can go with certain parts of speech or class of words. Almost all languages have parts of the word classes noun and verb, but beyond these two there are significant variation among different languages. So in English we have 8 parts of speech, but it's not the case with other languages. Take your own language, or Arabic or Persian, ism, fail and harf. So generally we talk about noun and ism and verb, fail, and for the rest of the parts of speech we have word, right? It means that all other parts of speech which are generally like adjective, adverbs, they are treated somewhere under the heading of noun or verb. We'll see to it. For example, Japanese has as many as 3 classes of adjectives, where English has 1. Obviously it has different types. We are not talking about types. Not to be confused with the 7 types of English adjective, or the fact that English adjective can modify both nouns and pronouns. Chinese, Korean, Japanese and Vietnamese have a class of nominal classifier, like anything that can classify a noun, and many languages do not distinguish between adjectives and adverbs, or between adjective or verbs. So it's not the case. The division of adjective and adverb is not a case in every languages. So different languages behave differently. Because of such variation in the number of categories and their identifying properties, analysis of parts of speech must be done for each individual language. So while discussing or analyzing one language, we cannot impose the rules that we discuss in other language. Nevertheless, the labels for each category are assigned on the basis of universal criteria. But however, we find it in a lot of languages that they share one thing or the other. However, they behave differently from each other. So in Nirukta, written in 5th century by Sanskrit grammarian Yaska, these are the following categories that we find. For example, nama, noun, yata, verb, and nipata, particles, ism, fail and harf, like Urdu or Arabic. The ancient work on the grammar of Tamil language, which is argued to be as old as 2500 years, it classifies word into PR, noun, vinay, verb, idai. Parts of speech modify the relationship between verbs and noun, and yuri, word that further qualifies the noun or verbs, something like preposition, etc. So when we come on to the Greek tradition, Aristotle added another class, conjunction, right? For example, we find that Plato wrote in the Cratylus dialogue, sentence or I conceive a combination of verbs and nouns. So he started with the beginning verb and noun. Aristotle added another class, conjunction, which included not only the words known today as conjunction, but also other parts interpretations differ. In one interpretation, it is pronoun, preposition, and the article. However, by 2nd century BC, grammarians like Dionysius Thrax, in his book Art of Grammar, gave a list of parts of speech. For example, noun, verb, participle. Participle is a form of the verb. Now we take it as a verb. For example, participle, there are two participle in English, present participle and past participle. These are the non-finite forms of the verb, like writing and written, like playing and played. So they used to be taken as a separate class of speech, right? Article and pronoun, preposition, adverb, and conjunctions. So these were the 8 parts of speech which were used by Dionysius and Thrax, and this was the tradition that started to be used by the coming generation of the Latin grammarians. The Latin grammarian Priscians of 5th century modified the above 8-fold system, excluding article, since the Latin language, unlike Greek, does not have article, but adding interjection. So he modified it, and then later the participle was also deleted from the list. In the older English terminology, noun, substantive, noun, adjective, and noun, numeral. So noun was different. For example, if we take our own language, isme sift. So ism is noun and sift is adjective. So we also have some similar categorization. Later, the adjective became a separate class, as often did the numerals, and the English word noun came to be applied to substantive only to the nouns, only to those objects which refer to concrete or other objects. Works of English grammar generally follow the pattern of European tradition as described above, except the participle are now usually regarded as forms of verb rather than as separate parts of speech, and numerals are often conflated with other parts of speech. Obviously, we discussed numerals with adjectives, etc. So this is how we came to know of or came to use these 8 parts of speech. They started in different languages. The concept of word classes is different. In some it's 3, in some it's 4. However, it started from a very early age, as we just saw. Yasaka was the first known grammarian to start this. Then there was the tradition in Arabic and other languages. The concept of 8 parts of speech was given first by Dionysius Thrax. However, it underwent some modification to the present names or present forms of parts of speech.